I'm here with Jim Hightower at the People's Summit in Chicago for a 3-day weekend where activists have gathered to organize and learn about organizing. Welcome to the program, Jim.
Thank you. Great to be back with you.
So I've been encountering a lot of very young people who are new to organizing. You are not new to organizing. You've been doing this a very long time. If you were to meet an 18-year-old, 20-year-old person today who is just getting started, maybe they got excited during Bernie Sanders' campaign and they want to chart a pathway for themselves, what advice would you give them?
Find something that you really care about. For some people, that's an environmental issue or a working class issue or a women's issue, any number of issues, immigration, etc. But something you really care about, dig into some aspect of it and begin to speak or begin to write, begin to get involved with groups that are working on those issues at a local level. You don't have to do this at the national level. It's most important now because we're not going to win in Washington, but we can win at local offices, district offices, legislative seats, in our state legislatures, any number of actions that we can be involved in, and that's how you build from the grassroots up.
A lot of people feel so much despair, and I think sometimes progressives shoot ourselves in the foot because we want a magic bullet that'll solve that one thing. We want that one thing that'll replace, impeachment so that we can get rid of Trump, that sort of thing. Do you think that tends to hurt our movements?
The focus on Trump to begin with is obviously we've got to resist Trump, but we've also got to resist what I call pusillanimous corporate Democrats who keep selling us out. And more importantly, we've got to insist on a bold, progressive, working class program. Go to the people at a grassroots level with things that really matter. That's health care for all, for example. That's free college education. I don't mean just tuition, free college education. Right on up the list. And then we've got to persist in building the political network that can enact the agenda that we have in mind. Our vision of what America can be, a country that really is about economic fairness and social justice and equal opportunity for all people. That's what we believe in. Let's put that on the table.
Now, in terms of, I remember during the George W. Bush administration, you were one of the very outspoken progressive voices during those dark years. Are there lessons from that era that we can apply today? Because what came out of that, if you just look at least at the federal level, what came out of the Bush era was the Obama era. And sadly, that then just turned back around and led to the Trump era.
Well, the Obama era, the problem there was Obama trusted young people and grassroots people to run his campaign, really to create his campaign. And then he said, we're going to bring you inside in Washington, and they never heard from him again. So we did not bring the outside in. And that's the only way progressives can win. On the inside, in the Congress, the legislatures, the administration, that's where money rules. They have the lobbying power. But out in the countryside, we've got the power because there's where people actually matter, voters matter. And we can go to them in door-to-door, neighbor-to-neighbor type of campaigns for issues, not just for candidates, and not just at election time, but throughout the year in and year out, and build this majority of people that really will restore America to its own people. That's what we're about.
Now, I'm in California, and I often thank my stars I am in California because it feels like a slightly safer space, depending upon who you are, of course, in California than the rest of the country. You're in Texas. Have you had the chance to talk to Trump supporters and voters? And what is your impression of them? Because it's tempting to simply dismiss them as being maybe duped by fake news. Duped is the word that I often come up with in my mind, and it's tempting to feel that way.
Well, I think a lot of people are seeing that now with the health care bill that he proposed, with his bank reform that basically unleashes Wall Street on us again, with his infrastructure program that is essentially going to privatize our public assets, and issue after issue, and here we go to war again, expanding the war in Afghanistan. So I think people are seeing through that and coming our way, but you're right, you cannot dismiss these people because many of their complaints are very, very legitimate, working class complaints in particular. And he struck a chord in them. But that makes it incumbent on us. That's who Trump is, but we've got to be the little d Democratic Party, working for ordinary working stiffs, working for dirt farmers, working for small business people, working for students and old people and young. Yeah, I mean, right across the board, we got to be a party of the people. And I don't know what party that is exactly. Right now, it's not the Democratic Party, though there are some really good Democrats. But that going through that channel right now, as Bernie Sanders learned, is a very hard road. But we can build at the grassroots level into coalitions that win. It's just happened in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the most conservative city probably in America. It's got 75 of the evangelical Christian organizations are headquartered there. It's got 5 military installations there. It's hardcore right-wing, reliably Republican, but the Bernie-crats, with some of the other people there, including some Hillary supporters, decided they could get together and maybe build a coalition and run some candidates and win. And they, in April, took over the city council. They now have 5 solid votes on a 9-member council, and as many as 8 votes, depending on the issue. They've got the mayor pro tem. They've got the speaker of the not the legislature, of the city council, and they're in charge. They now are putting the agenda forward of what we're going to do, and it's very pragmatic, common sense stuff that a lot of people who may think themselves conservative can get on board with. So it's going to change Colorado Springs, and if that is the second largest city in Colorado, it is the source of making that a swing state. If Colorado Springs turns progressive, then Colorado is totally progressive from now on. Mm-hmm.
So Trump has used some sentiment, latent sentiment among his base to demonize whole segments of our society. How do we organize against racism while we're organizing for economic justice? Because I feel like some of our progressive movements have put that issue aside until recently.
It's a central issue, obviously. I call it a populist justice movement, that we're all a part of that justice movement. So if it's being done to a group of Muslims out of Syria, if it's being done, then it's being done to labor union members, and that means it's being done to the global warming movement. That means it's being done. So we've all got to see that we're all in this together. And as Jesse Jackson said, we might not all have come over on the same boat, but we're in the same boat now. And so if we put our pieces together and understand that we really are all in this together, then you've got a real movement that can stand up for whoever's being stomped on by the Donnie Trumps or whoever else comes along.
Do you feel like at a gathering like this, at the People's Summit, there are enough Muslims, immigrants, African Americans? Are there enough? Is there enough representation from those communities that are most deeply targeted in Trump's America at the table to work on all of these issues together? Yeah, there's enough to make a difference. There's enough for those voices to be heard and considered and supported. There's not enough, but that's part of organizing. We've got to reach out so that those communities feel trust and they feel that a difference can be made by participating. Too much of our politics is BS. It doesn't do anything. And people want stuff to happen, big stuff to happen. And for that, it takes a big movement where we all are together in the overall effort. Well, Jim Hightower, thank you for all the years of work that you have done in helping to change progressive minds and promote social justice ideas. Thank you so much. My pleasure. I think we're getting there.